Hello, viewers. Today we have with us Miss Mugdha Pradhan. She's the founder and CEO of iThrive. iThrive is a health and wellness platform that focuses on reverses chronic health conditions and lifestyle diseases through functional nutrition. And it analyzes the root cause. It goes deep into the root cause of the issue that a person is facing before coming up with the nutrition for that. Welcome, Miss Mugdha Pradhan.
Thank you so much for having me on your.
Yeah, it's a pleasure to have you. So, tell me a little about yourself. Where were you born and brought up, and
Yeah.
your education?
So I was born and brought up in this little village called Whitefield, which is no longer a white village. But when I
Okay.
was born there in 1978, it was a really tiny village in Bangalore, far away from the city. Lots of greenery, very few people there, more animals than humans. It was like that. I studied there and then we moved cities. So we moved, I came to Pune, did until my 10th, I was in Pune, and then we moved to Bombay. So when we moved to Bombay, that's also the time when I had to choose what I wanted to study in college, right? And I had always loved the world of nutrition and food. So when I came to Bombay, one of my aunts who had studied nutrition like long ago when she was in college, she said that there is this entire field, and I was fascinated by it. I went to the college, spoke to the principals and the teachers, and then decided that that's what I wanted to study. So I did my master's in food science and nutrition,
Okay.
and I did that, and then of course. Eventually, I also went on to do like an MBA in HR because I wanted to study that as well. But in terms of the primary education I've had, it's been in the world of nutrition itself.
Tell me a little about your parents also.
So my mom was a nurse.
Uh-huh.
In fact, my mom actually was very brilliant. She when she studied nursing, she had stood first in Maharashtra at that time, right? So I think
Okay.
1960, late 1960s or something. And she used to work in Mumbai in GT Hospital. Then my parents moved to Bangalore because dad was in the dairy industry, right? So dad has
Okay.
entirely he spent his entire career in the dairy industry. So he used to work at Amul before, and then he got this opportunity to work with a company called Joy Ice Creams. So I have literally grown up in an ice cream factory. Like that's the kind of
Okay.
people would dream of, right? So I would either be
Okay.
with mom in the hospital or with dad
Uh-huh.
at the factory. So mom was a nurse, and then when we moved to Bangalore, after she kind of set up the house, and after I was born, I think after a couple of years, she started working with this Satya Sai Baba hospital. So she the remaining time, like right until the age of I was 14 years old, right? By the time we moved out of Bangalore, she worked for free. Like she just did that as her seva or sadhana, right? Like she was a very spiritually oriented woman as well. So she worked as a nurse and then eventually she learned pathology. She used to also work as a pathologist in the same hospital. So my mom, like I was saying, right, she worked for free all of the life that I can remember with her, and she was driven by two things. One was bhakti, and second was seva, right? Like these are the two qualities I remember the most about my mom. That she was devoted to the world of spirituality, and she had dedicated her life to serving others. She's really an incredible woman. Dad was this really, really creative person who actually I think should have studied literature, but I think literature was not a good idea for men at that time. So he went and chose something more technical. So he was in the dairy industry. He used to work as the factory manager for Joy Ice Creams, and I think he in the peak of his career invented nearly 32 different flavors of ice cream. So he was very creative with food. He was an exceptional writer. He is also right now, and the love for books actually has been entirely through him. So even as a kid, I remember when anytime he would go out of home, like travel to city or go somewhere else, he would only bring back a book for me. That would be the gift, right? Like other dads might have brought chocolates or toys. He would bring books. And I didn't think there was anything abnormal. I would think books are like normal, right? So I remember reading from a very early age. So he inculcated the love of reading and books itself very early in my life. Mom So I tell people like it seems like the work I do now is a culmination of both of their skills, right? Like mom was
Yeah.
healing, and mom was also like amazing with serving people, very generous of heart. Dad was super creative with food and like in the thing of like being very geeky and just learning. And what I do is just a culmination of both of them.
So after you completed your education, what did you do? Did you enter into a job or something?
Yes. So I finished my master's. So I chose nutrition, like I said, because I loved the field, right? And I finished my master's and I was very excited that, oh, wow, I know all of this information about human health. And the first jobs that I got, this was 2001. So the first job that I got was a gym job.
Okay.
And that time, gym jobs were like you're just sitting at the reception and you're just saying hi, hello.
Preparing
And
diet charts.
not even so much preparing diet charts as much as like just being there to kind of chat with people. This is
Acha.
2001, na?
Okay.
And even the diet charts were like, Madam, weight loss karna hai, kind of a thing, right? It was not
Okay.
clinical. It was not like
Okay.
working on something that was really deep, right? So I didn't like that. Plus, the work conditions weren't really good. So shifts would be there, and like it was really not the best environment to work in. I didn't like that. I went and fought with my teacher that I learned this for 7 years. What is this kind of work that is there? So my teacher was like, calm down. We have a faculty position here. You can come and teach in
Okay.
college. Yeah. So
Okay.
I taught for a year in college in a freelancing, not a full-time lecturer. And I also used to teach simultaneously at the Don Bosco School for the especially. So these were kids who kind of had opted for the open schooling system because of
Okay.
learning disabilities. So I would teach there. So I really enjoyed that time of teaching in college and teaching in school. Um, and then I got married, moved to Hyderabad. Again, Hyderabad, same story, right? So VLCC or gyms only. Then I realized that this field, because I knew my teacher, I could go fight with her, and then I got a faculty position, right? In Hyderabad, I didn't know anyone. So I thought of switching careers that, okay, I'd learned and studied something because I loved the subject, but maybe as a career choice, it wasn't the best. And I spoke to a few people, my ex-husband's colleagues also from the IT industry, then told me that given the kind of personality I am, I might do really well in HR. So Xlara had just launched their distance learning program, so I did that, and then went into HR fully. Like I was doing a lot of
Okay.
startup HR. I was Flipkart's first HR hire when they'd just gotten funded by Axis, and I did a lot
Okay.
of startup HR. So
Okay.
right until 2016, I worked in the corporate world.
Okay.
And then 2016, we moved to Toronto.
Okay.
So when I went to Toronto, by then I'd lost my mom. I lost my mom in 2014, primarily due to a lot of medical errors and negligence, right? Like the work we do now at iThrive prevents that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I had moved countries. I was a little untethered because I'd lost my mom. I was very, very close to her. That sense of isolation was very, very high in Canada and in Toronto. Even the marriage that I was in, I mean, it was just, it wasn't a marriage where I was happy anymore, right? Even though I had married by choice many years ago, I
Okay.
wasn't happy in that marriage. And I actually went through a full blown clinical depression.
Okay.
So, uh, 2017, by 2016, 2017, it was also hard to get jobs in Toronto as an immigrant because whatever I had done in HR in India was not really relevant to the practices there. They had completely different laws.
Okay.
So it would mean me having to like study all over again, doing a master's there if I really wanted to get good jobs. And then I just realized that I didn't even enjoy that anymore, the corporate world and all that. Right. So I went through a bit of a personal, spiritual, transformatory phase when I was there alone in Toronto. And 2017 is when I came back to India. Like I walked out of the marriage and came back to India. But 2016 was the last of my HR stint. 2017 onwards, then I started working on my own health because by 2017 I had become very, very sick. I was 97 kgs. I was like clinically obese, and then I had an autoimmune condition. I had pre-diabetes. Mental health was like at its worst ever, right? So lots of things were going on. And when I came back to India, of course, it was very different. It was drastically different from the time before I had gone to Toronto, because I had gone as a married person in a family. And this time I had come back as someone who didn't want to be in a marriage with my daughter. I had come back, and I wasn't going to do like a job. I had to figure out what I wanted to do. I felt the desire to be an entrepreneur. So no one in my past life could understand what was going on with me. So there was, it was quite chaotic. So that Jan 2017 to like September 2017 was quite a chaotic phase. But that phase is also when I learned about functional medicine, because I was getting sicker by the day,
Okay.
gaining more weight, and because of the autoimmune condition, I was feeling more fatigue, mental health also, like with Hashimoto's, um, brain fog and all of that happened. So cognitive decline was happening, right? So I knew that if I had to really truly make a change anywhere, it had to start with my physical health. First the body, then everything else, right? So then I
Yeah.
started actually desperately looking for answers. Like, what is it that I could do to help myself? I went to a
But
few doctors.
one thing, but you didn't go to any specialist for your mental health, psychologist, psychiatrist.
I went, like, actually my depression had started off postpartum itself. So
Okay.
when I was in Bangalore, I had gone because I realized something was happening, right? Like I was crying, I was having all of this. So she just said, "Oh, you have depression," and she put me on antidepressants.
Okay.
So I mean, yeah, I've actually written about that in the book also, because it's an important part of, like, women need to know that the depression they experience might not just be an antidepressant deficiency, but it caused by many other things, right? So I was put on antidepressants for a year because it became also like to the point of suicide ideation and all of that. I really hated my life, right? Like that setup that I was in. So
So the move to Toronto magnified it.
it magnified it. So I had gotten off the antidepressants by then because they were making me gain more weight, doing a lot of, because what happens with antidepressants is, like, at a technical level, they also induce a lot of carbohydrate craving. So you're like eating all of the
Okay.
time and all of that, right? So
Okay.
it really messed me up. It made me worse, the medicines. But I was, what the antidepressants did for the 1 year I was on them is they made me numb. So I wasn't feeling
Okay.
anything at all. I wasn't feeling depressed, but I wasn't feeling any other emotions.
Okay.
And then my health continued to worsen, right? So when I stopped them, not only did the depression come back, but all the other feelings, the anxiety, the anger, the sadness, the frustration, all of that came back, right? So, and because Toronto was a place where I was mostly isolated, and you know how it is for immigrants, right? Like you go, and then in India, we are really pampered. Like I was doing full-time jobs here, so we had like a nanny, we had a maid, we had a driver, we had all of that here. Those luxuries are non-present, especially
And
when
then
you
you
work.
are alone there. You have
I was
a
alone,
like a
so I was
wider
working
family here.
family, and in family also I'd lost mom, so that grief also was not fully processed, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And no one, like my friends, like I had no one there. So that isolation coupled with already the underlying depression, the fact that the marriage was an unhappy one, I wasn't making any money, I wasn't using my brain for anything, many things, right? So the only spark of light was my daughter, because she was the thing that kept me alive even through those darkest phases of suicide ideation. Like it was only thoughts of her that would make me stay grounded. Like it's important that I'm there for her, kind of a thing, right? So she was the spark of light. But 2017 Jan, I really took a decision for myself that I can't live like this because it's slow death. So I came back to India.
What
But
about
no
your
one,
husband?
he is still there. So we got
No,
divorced
no,
in
no.
20.
He didn't help you at that time.
So see, it would be unfair to say he didn't help at all, but I think he couldn't comprehend everything that was happening to me.
Okay.
And for many years, we were in a conventional marriage, so to speak, where you know how Indian marriages are, right? Like we're also trained
Right.
to kind of make life about our husbands. It's very culturally ingrained. Like first him, then you, right? And I'm sure he was also raised on similar things, right? So he, the fact that I was seeking my own needs and space and like something I wanted for myself was not really resonating. So at whatever level he could help, he did. uh, Generally as a person, he's a nice person, right? Otherwise I wouldn't have been married to him. But it just
Perhaps he
was,
didn't understand.
he didn't understand. He didn't really
Yeah.
understand, and
Hmm.
he was going like it became very hard for me to even communicate and see, to a degree there was also some amount of like emotional abuse and all of that. I don't want to get into that now, because why leave something against another person on the internet.
Yeah,
uh,
true.
I've spoken about it in other places wherever there was context, but also the fact
No,
that my
that's
daughter,
okay.
yeah,
That's okay.
so it was
The only thing
that.
is the compatibility, I think,
Yeah, we just
wasn't
grew
there.
apart. Like we just really,
Huh,
really grew apart,
huh, huh.
and it wasn't working at all for me. I'm a very growth-oriented person, and that growth was becoming unacceptable in that environment, right? So
Okay.
I was feeling stifled and I was feeling suffocated. So that's why I came back, because I just wanted to kind of like see what happens if I'm just myself.
So, what happened after you came back?
After I came back, I chose to work on my health more than anything else. Went to doctor, said that like, hey, like I'm gaining weight and I'm feeling like there's no energy, no fatigue. If I don't have tea or coffee, I have nothing. Like just my brain doesn't work. And I didn't get any answer. Someone said that, oh, maybe it's menopause. This was 6 years ago. I'm still not menopausal. Someone said it is menopause. Then one of the doctor said कि अच्छा चाय पी के एनर्जी मिल रही है तो पी लो ना चाय
Pilo.
दिक्कत क्या है हाँ like no like that's like वो नहीं है that's not right. So I went to a few doctors. I didn't get any answers, and because I've always been a very academically learning oriented person, I started researching on the internet. So
Okay.
in my research, I discovered this TED talk by this Dr. Rangan Chatterjee, who spoke
Okay.
about this thing called functional medicine,
Okay.
where you can use blood tests, look at the data from blood test, understand what is going on inside, and automatically change the symptoms, because
Okay.
every symptom is your body trying to communicate with you that andar kuch to gadbad hai. Like if your car is not going to move ahead when you start the ignition, either you run out of fuel, or maybe the spark, like the ignition is not happening,
Yeah.
or maybe the steering wheel is something is wrong. That's why the car is not moving ahead, right? So the goal is to kind of open the bonnet and look inside and find out what's going on. And I was like, somebody is finally saying there's a solution to this, right? It's not just about dieting or eat less or don't eat so many calories. So I then ordered a few books. So that by then there was this Institute of Functional Medicine and the Functional Medicine University that already were there in the US, right? Because in the US this has
Okay.
been there for the last 25 years now. So I
Okay.
ordered books, and then I went to all of these research paper libraries and all of that, started studying
Okay.
and did blood tests, and then realized that like the reason why I was feeling like this was because I had an autoimmune condition. The reason why I was
Okay.
gaining weight was because I had insulin resistance. So I
Okay.
found the reasons for whatever was happening with my health, and then started working on them. Right? Then creating
Okay.
solutions was not difficult. So I started doing that. I started losing weight really fast.
So
By
was it the diet changes that you made, or
a
you
lot
resorted
of
to some
a lot
medicines
of
also?
no medicines, a lot of
Okay.
nutrient changes. So when I say diet, people get scared ki diet matlab just salad, right? So it was just about eating what was right for my body. For example, one of the reasons why I had that autoimmune condition was because of gluten and dairy, and I was
Okay.
having milk and I was having roti, because generally even in nutrition college we were taught that whole wheat is better than rice. But
Yeah. True.
that was damaging my body, right? So I stopped eating
Okay.
that. Then the other thing I did was lifestyle changes. So sun exposure, sleep timing, water consumption, all of those. And third, there were deficiencies. So vitamin D was low, for example, B12
Okay.
was low, right? So fixing
Okay.
those deficiencies, that's where supplements. So not medicines, but supplements to fix specific nutrient deficiencies.
Okay.
Magnesium also I started taking. So
Okay.
when I made like the food changes, added a little supplements, and then made lifestyle changes, automatically my health started reversing, right? Like, so
Okay.
sickness started becoming health. And
Okay.
by July 2017, I had lost nearly 37 kgs.
Oh
So,
my God.
so what happened was Facebook pay, I was updating my profile pictures because I was so happy I was looking better. So family and friends were like, whatever you're doing for yourself, we also want. Because they anyway
Okay.
knew I had studied nutrition, right? Everyone knew I had done my master's, and they just thought I'd found some magic diet that was working. So in July 2017, I think I was like, okay, I could do my own blood test and figure this out for myself, because I know my symptoms, I know my body. can I do
Hmm.
this for someone else also? So
Okay.
I told these people to get their blood test done, send them to me on email, and I analyzed. And I
Hmm.
found like, oh, this person has this deficiency, this insulin resistance, all of that.
So is it a routine blood test, or there it's some specific blood test?
No, no, standard stuff that you'll get in any lab, right? But yeah, like we add a few more parameters like homocysteine. Then
Okay.
for thyroid, we check free T3 and free
Ah,
T4, not total.
okay.
Or
Okay.
TSH will check ultra sensitive TSH. So
Okay.
standard tests that you can get at a lab here, but
Uh-huh.
a little more extensive, like nearly 48,
Uh-huh.
50 parameters.
Okay.
So I started doing that, and their health started showing results, right? So then they
Hmm.
started referring me to their friends. So slowly, slowly, this grew.
Hmm.
Now, by this time, what had also happened is my daughter had fallen ill, and then she wanted to kind of be with him for some time. So when
Okay.
he came to pick her up, he filed for divorce and she
Hmm.
left with him. And he took, because I didn't have any
Oh.
money. Yeah. So I had also come to this full point of poverty in all of this chaos. Like there was a
Hmm.
time when I had just like 300 rupees left in my account and had to figure out how to pay
What
rent
to
and
do? Hmm.
rent,
What
food
about
for.
your dad?
So at that point, dad did not support this decision at all because
Oh.
see, I'm the first person who got divorced in my family. It's
Hmm.
a pretty middle class Maharashtrian conservative
Hmm.
setup.
Hmm.
So my dad was like, if you need money, I'll give you money to buy a ticket and go back to Toronto. But
Okay.
I'm not going to give you money to support this madness. The
Okay.
only time he was supportive is when my daughter got sick and she had to be hospitalized. Then he
Hmm.
actually took care of the hospitalization expenses, right?
Hmm.
So, see, each person does what they do out of their
Hmm.
best possible
Their
capacity.
own,
So,
their own upbringing, their own understanding, education, everything.
now,
It
6 years later, he sees, right? Now he's like, it was the best
hmm.
thing you did because he sees the
Hmm.
impact I was making. He's seeing
Hmm.
how much I've grown and how happy I am like this.
Hmm.
So she left with him. My daughter left with him,
Hmm.
and I didn't even think I could like file for an appeal to the court or something. I was like, okay, this is what it is. I was really like in a very bad place emotionally also. Like too much chaos was happening.
Yes.
So when she left, then I went like next level. I was like, what happens if I don't even have a house?
Hmm.
कुछ नहीं रहा तो क्या होता है, right? Like friends,
Hmm.
like parent, like nobody is there. Then what happens?
Hmm. Hmm.
So I just downsized to two bags, like
Hmm.
one haversack and one small carry-on kind of a suitcase. All my books, clothes, supplements, everything in that, and I just lived like a nomad for 2 years. So 1 month in Goa, 1 month in like Uttarakhand. So a lot of spiritual exploration was happening at that time. But my work continued to grow, right?
Okay.
So 2017 end, say, right up to the beginning of 2019, I did this wandering around. So I'd sometimes go to Canada also and live like in a PG and then be with her, meet her, and all of that. Um, Work continued to grow because this online model was really helping everyone, right? Like they could get blood tests whenever they wanted to, they'll send them to me. I'll do the analysis and I'll say, okay, these are the changes. And they would have to make changes in their own kitchen. And I was there always anyway online to support them through WhatsApp. And we'd also created a community by then.
Okay.
So early 2018 itself, like my initial few clients, we made a WhatsApp group that was for recipes actually initially. Okay, if I don't
Okay.
have to eat wheat, then what are the other ways I can eat proteins, right? So we started doing that. Slowly, slowly from recipes, that community just started becoming a support group. Because
Okay.
sometimes somebody would just talk about their mother-in-law there, and other people would be like, Acha, do this, do that, and like that, right? So that community was forming, my referral based client base was increasing, and in late 2018 I actually signed up with someone who had seen his own niece's journey
Okay.
and he came for his health, and then I didn't know who he was because I don't research who signs up with me now. But whenever we would do weekly calls and all, he would keep asking, what is it you want to do? So I said, I just want to heal the world, like at least 1 million people to begin with. Now that vision is like the entire planet. And then he said that I hope you realize you can't do this alone. So I said, I know, but who is in a hurry? I've just started off. And then he said, if you're interested, I can come on board as an investor and I can
Okay.
fund, you can set this up as a company. And I would really be happy to see this grow. And he said, my only one condition is you'll stop wandering around and you'll find one place to kind of set up the business.
So
So
that is
I
like it was a godsend for you.
It was, and can you imagine that nomad life had
Uh,
become so important for me that I told,
hmm.
like, I go to a lot of startup talks and all, I get invited. So they asked me, how did you get your first investor? Because for
Hmm.
most startups, that first investor is a struggle,
It's
right?
tough. It's
I
tough.
told I told Rajesh at that time, let me think
Hmm.
about this. That
Hmm.
not being a nomad and like being in one place, if I take like if you
Okay.
come on board as an investor. And I
Uh-huh.
took 2 days to think about it. Then I thought, like, see, if I want to
Hmm.
really heal the planet, and if Samne say, if someone is saying that, let me help you
Hmm.
grow this,
Hmm. Hmm.
then I would be a fool just for a nomad lifestyle to reject that opportunity, right? So then I said yes to him. So
Hmm.
March 2019, I came to Pune because Pune had kind of
Okay.
become a base in India, right?
Hmm.
So we
Hmm.
came to Pune, and then like officially started doing the work of registering the company. So June 2019, the company was fully formalized,
Hmm.
and we've just grown since then, right? So from that
Hmm.
solo person now, it's nearly 50 people.
Hmm. That's quite a
Yeah,
bit. That's
yeah.
quite
So I,
a bit of an achievement.
it is, and like
Hmm.
the company has also grown through so the first hire, like I needed somebody to help me with operations because I'm very good with like the subject matter and all of that, but
Hmm.
operational thing I wasn't so good at. I knew it based on my
Hmm.
experience in HR also.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
the first person I hired came from the community.
Okay.
Investor is from the community. Our lawyer is from the
Hmm.
community. Our finance person is from the community.
So
So
they're
this
all like-minded people, no? So they are
these
like
people
with one
have
goal.
like people who have gotten their health back, no, they know what it
Hmm.
means to be off
Hmm.
medicines, to not be dependent, let's say, on doctors for like everyday
Hmm.
things,
Hmm. Hmm.
to really understand what their body is trying to communicate with them, and just to get like
Hmm.
life back into their bodies. Na? So
True.
these guys want iThrive to grow no matter what. Even if
Hmm.
I lose my head, they will make sure the
Hmm.
company grows. So that's how it is.
So tell me, this nutritional supplements you're talking about. I'm a bit of I'm a bit wary about all these things. Are they
Right.
safe?
No, you have right cause to be wary about them because not all supplements are manufactured keeping the right things in mind, right? So
Hmm.
actually, some supplements can cause more harm than good. So we have to
Hmm.
be careful about buying these, right? Like you have to learn to read the label. So what you want is things that don't have fillers, things that don't have soy, things that don't have additives and all of that. You just want the nutrients. So there
Hmm.
are very, very clean supplements also available in the market. And when I started, I used to order them from the US only, like via Amazon or
Okay.
something. Even
Hmm.
for a lot of my early clients, we used to order from the US. Then in
Hmm.
COVID, because of the
Hmm.
logistical issues, lockdowns and all, it became
Hmm.
hard to get the supplements.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's when we started thinking, what if we start making our own supplements? Because we know what we want is quality, right? Like,
Hmm.
if I
Hmm.
want to recommend vitamin D for someone, I just want vitamin D, and I know
Hmm.
how much. I don't want anything else in that,
Hmm.
or
Hmm.
magnesium. I just want pure magnesium in that. So we
Hmm.
started thinking. Then November 2021, we actually started making our own supplements. That's also when the second round
Okay.
of funding came. So not that we make all the supplements that are required, but we make a few basic ones, and then the ones that
Hmm.
otherwise somebody might need, we recommend mostly
Hmm.
very few Indian brands, mostly other outside brands only.
But like one should not. What I mean to say is, one should not buy an OTC nutritional supplement
No,
and start
never.
consuming. No.
No, no. Like even what people did in the lockdowns, like taking the
Ah,
zinc,
yeah. Uh-huh.
So
No,
a that
many companies making nutrition started making nutrition supplements during COVID, and they are selling.
without
They were selling
adhering
like anything.
to the guidelines, right? So people see everyone wants that one magic pill that's going to make everything disappear.
Hmm.
So if you hear that, okay, having good levels of zinc in the blood can make you more resistant to COVID, everyone went for zinc COVID because it's
Hmm.
easily available, it's cheap.
Hmm.
You don't
Hmm.
have to think. Now that form that's there in zinc COVID is not the most bioavailable form, and it comes with additives. Like most of these
Hmm.
over-the-counter tablets have color on them, so they're
Right.
not the best to have, right? And
Okay.
again,
Hmm.
unless you do your blood work, you
Hmm.
won't know if you need a supplement or not.
Ah,
So
true.
even people who have like taken, we've had like people who've just taken a lot of vitamin D during the lockdowns now, because
Hmm.
vitamin D level high and then COVID improvement happens. So people have taken that 60,000 IU on a daily basis.
Top.
It's very high, like that can impact your bone health, right?
Very
Because
high.
vitamin,
Yeah.
bone, phosphorus, magnesium, everything is in balance.
Huh.
So it has to be done with a little bit of understanding of do you even
Uh,
need to supplement or not, right?
Actually, basically, you need to consult a consultant.
You
You
should
need to
talk
talk
to
a
somebody.
specialist rather
Yes.
than picking up things
Just
like that.
yes, yes.
Right, right. So, did you study further into nutritional supplements or functional
I
nutrition?
study
Did
every
you?
day. I study
Not
every
like
day.
that. What I
Yeah.
mean is like gaining degrees and maybe
No, I
research
didn't
into that. Hmm.
go professionally and pursue a course because see the field is was still nascent at that time when I went into it, right? And then they were like only the functional medicine IFM was offering courses, but only for doctors, the Institute of Functional Medicine. So
Hmm.
that time I was not even eligible. So I learned literally like Eklavya. Now
Hmm.
what has happened is I learn from not necessarily institutions, but from a lot of other practitioners who have their own master classes, like Dr. Brian Walsh. So they have
Okay.
courses, right?
Okay.
So they have online courses. So we keep learning,
Okay.
and it's not just me. We have an entire R&D team here, right? So even we have this person on board, Johan, who's like the company's chief knowledge officer. So he is
Okay.
Dinbhar is just studying this, right? So we
Okay.
sign up for a lot of courses. We're just doing that. So we might not have degrees to put, but we're learning all the time.
Okay. Okay. So now what's the status? Like how many? Uh, if I can say so, how many patients are there with you? How many people are you
So,
consulting?
so far, I think in the last 4 years of the company being
Hmm.
operational, we work with nearly 2000 plus. So we have a very personalized model. We don't have an app where 100 people
Hmm.
can download the app and then get their
Hmm.
diet. It's a very one-on-one model, right? So it's
Hmm.
like every client actually gets a team assigned to them. So
Hmm.
investors tell me ये scale कैसे करेंगे, but I'm like first let's help people with their health. We can think of
Hmm.
mass and scalability in some time, not today.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we work with nearly 3,000 people so far,
Okay.
and we have our own academy. So we're teaching other people this also
Okay.
because this we started in Jan 2021.
That's
Hiring,
interesting.
yeah,
Pune? Do
in
you
Pune,
offer
it's a
online
certificate.
courses? Oh,
It's
that's
online
great.
only. So it's a
Okay.
4 month certificate course,
Hmm.
and it's like 72 hours. So we have 12 modules in that, like the actual core modules, right? Interpreting blood tests, food,
Hmm.
understanding gut health dysfunctions, the gut microbiome. So we have 12 modules.
Hmm.
The need for it was for two reasons. One is for me, recruitment was becoming a problem because we've hired some of the best master's degree holders, but they still don't know this, like what I had
Hmm.
learned. So I would take nearly two,
Hmm.
3 months to train them before they could start working with clients. Then
Hmm.
I was like, why am I paying someone to teach them? They
Hmm.
should be able to learn from me. So
True.
it was started to kind of solve that, but also people were asking us, where can we learn this, right? So we
Okay.
opened it and we started with only 5 students in Jan 2021.
Hmm.
But now it's scaled. So now we train nearly 250 plus students.
Okay.
Uh, and it's incredible, right? So
Hmm.
people are learning to take control of their own health, their family's health because they are learning this.
Hmm.
So, so we get a lot of other people who've done nutrition like masters and then they want to learn this additionally. Sometimes,
Okay.
almost every batch we have a doctor.
Okay.
Ayurvedic doctors, homeopathic doctors, physiotherapists, they come and learn this. We also get a lot
Hmm.
of psychologists who want to learn this because
Hmm.
even they've realized the connection between physical health and mental health.
Hmm.
Uh, so yeah, that academy is a really amazing. I'm very
Yeah.
proud of what we do in the academy. So we work one on one with people. Then we
Hmm.
have this academy where we're teaching other people how to do this, and
Hmm.
then we have the supplements vertical.
Okay. Okay. And then let me talk about the book that you are coming up with. How did you think of writing this book? And when did you think of writing this thing?
Actually, I didn't even think of writing it. It's Avinash who's like been the chief person for operations, our first hire, who insisted it's time I actually put this story down in a book.
Okay.
And to me, I was like, what do I write about? Do I write about like the 5 primary supplements everyone should take, or how to interpret your blood test? Do I write about
Hmm.
that, or do I write about the best diet? And
Hmm.
then I realized what I really wanted to write about was yes, my own journey, but more than my journey, the story of my community, right? Like what we call the Thrive tribe. Like these people who were the first. brave people who decided to trust me with their health, and then like from there, like they transform their own health. So I just felt like I should highlight their stories because, see, if I write about my story, then everyone will think, okay, I have a master's degree in nutrition. It was easy for me to kind of fix my health and all of that, right? But when they hear stories of everyday people, someone who is a writer, someone who is a corporate employee, someone who is a student, someone who is like a housewife, when they hear or read these stories and see that they could learn how to take control of their own health within 3 months of working with the method that we have, and bringing their stories out into the limelight is really what I felt like doing, and that's what this book is about. I mean, it's like 10 stories of transformation, one of which is mine, the other nine are my tribe members.
How much time did you take it to complete it?
This, the first draft took nearly, I think, 4 months. And then, because I was kind of running out of time and not getting enough time to sit and like do the editing and all that, then I asked another writer to help me with it, like just the proofreading and seeing if the flow was going well or not, like a professional writer. She speeded up the process, right? And then,
Okay.
see, even like getting these people to talk, sharing their stories, the Zoom calls, the recordings, all of that, transcribing that, that was taking time, right? So I had
Yeah.
like the raw stuff, and then she just put it together and
Okay.
created a beautiful narrative out of it.
Okay. When is it coming out?
It's actually on all the platforms, Amazon and all. Tomorrow we are having a official launch party, so I have like
Okay.
one copy of the book with me here for the launch.
Okay. Okay. Just
The
show, show,
launch
show. Show the book.
the launch party is with my tribe
Okay.
members only,
Okay.
because I was
Okay.
like, yes, press can come, but you guys have to be there, right? So
Yeah. And it's self-published?
it's published by Notion Press.
Wait. You
Yeah.
didn't think of going to like a Penguin or a Simon or a
No,
HarperCollins?
maybe no. I was like, अच्छा लिख दिया अभी क्या करना है?
Acha.
Let's do this kind of a thing. But
Okay.
next one, I
Okay.
think I'll go do a more.
Okay. You have plans for next one also?
Yeah, yeah. So I want to write
Okay.
about the company. Like I'm already
Acha.
thinking of the book.
Okay.
The company is run very, very differently, Rajkumari. Like
Hmm.
it's an amalgamation of whatever I learned in HR and then all my
Hmm.
spiritual practices and like understanding human consciousness and how human beings really are. Like we are very emotional creatures at the core of who we are, right?
Hmm.
And then like combining all of that and creating a work environment that's generally happy. So
Okay.
the next one I'm calling Love Inc. because this company has been
Okay.
built on love. But yeah, maybe
Okay.
that one will be a little longer labor of love, not as
Hmm.
quick as this one.
Okay. And what about your daughter? Is
She
she
is
still
in,
there?
she's still in Toronto. I haven't met her nearly for 3.5 years now because the
COVID
lockdowns
and all?
happened.
Hmm.
Lockdowns happened. My visa expired mid lockdown. So while I had
Okay.
applied for the visa, it never got processed. I actually got my visa in February this year. So I'll be going now.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Okay.
July is when I go see her. Yeah.
Okay. And one last question. Apart from the work that you do, the studies that you do, the lives that you change, what is that one thing that you love to do for yourself? What do you do in your
Meditate.
free time?
I can sit
Okay.
and meditate. I can meditate for
Okay.
the entire day.
Okay.
See,
You have a
every
spiritual guru or something, or you just.
no,
Hmm,
I just connect directly with source. I've again like spirit, like I've learned functional medicine from so many sources, and I keep learning.
hmm,
Spirituality also, I
hmm.
keep learning. So I
Okay.
have different like when I say meditate, sometimes I might do a Joe Dispenza kind of meditation,
Okay.
or sometimes I actually sign up with like last year I did this 3 month program with two people from the US, and
Okay.
it was a very deep program in terms of embodiment, like learning the connection
Okay.
between the body and the soul.
Okay.
But I have my own practice also. I actually teach this. So in the
Uh,
academy, I teach this program called Heal the Healers. Because what
okay.
I've learned is that like a lot of students come to us to learn how to heal others, but then they get limited by their own
Thought
baggage,
process.
right? Like their own that imposter syndrome happens, or like or Some of them are such beautiful healers that they'll just give, and feel depleted in the end, like they'll themselves
Hmm.
fall sick, right? So I realize that whatever skills I have acquired in being able to help people, that's something that, the mental strength and the resilience that comes. I teach
Huh.
that now.
So is this a part of the course that you offer,
No,
or
this
is
is like
separate?
an add-on. It's
A
a
separate
separate thing,
course.
and I am very choosy about whom I take. So we just
Okay.
completing
Huh.
one
So
three
it's
months
an
course.
online thing also that.
It's online only. That comes with
Oh,
a lot
okay.
of practices, though. It comes with a lot of
Okay.
breath work, meditation, movement practices,
Okay.
and a lot of
Okay.
work. So
Huh.
that's exclusively only for students who finish the academy. I'm like not offering it to the public. But
Acha, acha.
my primary motivator or life thing is spirituality. So even now when I work with clients, I don't take just nutrition cases. I actually take cases where they need support with the psycho-spiritual aspect of their selves.
Okay.
That's a
Okay.
program I call Embracing the Human Experience.
Okay.
So again, very
So all these
exclusive.
programs are mentioned in your online thing?
Website,
No.
I don't know if the embracing the human experience is mentioned there, because I mean I'm speaking about it with you now. Generally, it's not even there anywhere.
Okay.
Because
Okay. That.
that's like my time and energy, right? So I want to be very clear about who gets access to that. But yeah, I
That's
think the
quite
academy
a
is there on the website.
that's quite a handful of work that you're
It's
doing. How do you
it's
get time for all that?
I don't do anything else except this. So I wake up really early, like
Hmm.
4:45, 5 a.m. is when I wake up, and then
Okay.
I'm usually doing my spiritual practices, right? The meditation
Oh.
and all
Hmm.
that. Then movement, like some form of exercise on an everyday basis. Could be something like a short hike up the hill that's near my house, or at home only. I'll
Okay.
just do some workouts.
Hmm.
And then I cook for myself. Like every day, I make my
Okay.
own food. And
Hmm.
then I'm in office by 9, right? So I get enough
Hmm.
time in the morning for myself. So all of those things
Hmm.
keep me grounded.
Hmm.
And then I'm here. So we have a 9 to 5 policy. I don't want anyone to work
Hmm.
after 5.
Hmm.
And in the evening, then it's like just I'm just thinking of what else can happen for iThrive. So it's
Hmm.
like that. So I have enough
Okay.
time. Time is not an issue.
Hmm.
I just feel like I could do so much more and I've not done enough yet.
Okay. There's more coming from you, I'm sure.
More, so much more.
Yeah.
We've
So
just begun.
when you look back at your life, what kind of feeling do you get? Is it a feeling of contentment, or I've done enough?
Sometimes I feel life was unnecessarily harsh in some places. Like when I talk to the universe, I'm like, thoda kam dose milta to chal jata. Because like I experienced sexual abuse also as a child,
Okay.
very early on, right? So those life lessons, while I can understand how they contributed to the grit and the resilience and the strength I have, some places I feel it was harsh, but the rest of it seems pretty magical only. The only place where I truly have regret na is the water situation. Like I wish I had the strength at that time to not let go of it. Because
True.
yeah, like no girl should grow up without a mother. Honestly,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
And looking forward?
Looking forward, it's like an adventure that I can see, right? It's
Okay.
immense. The potential. See, the vision we have at iThrive is to really create a planet that's free of lifestyle diseases, right? Like it's like healthier, happier communities that are free of diseases, and they're just using their minds to do something amazing. That's my vision, right? So it's unlimited. It seems like such an adventure, and like every day feels like I've just started. Like today
There's
feels
an
like
excitement.
yeah, there's always like I have a lot of enthusiasm for the future. The work on
And
the
if
mind, yeah, converted
it, tell
anxiety.
me.
So
So
earlier I
if
used to be
there
anxious
is,
for the future.
okay, now you are happy about the future, looking forward
Now
to
I'm
it.
enthusiastic, right? I look forward
Uh,
to it.
uh. And if there is one message I want you to give to our viewers, what would be that?
That transformation can happen at any point of time. I'm nearly 45 now. A lot of women, especially in India, feel that, once their 30s are gone by, life has kind of passed them over. I reinvented my life at 38. So it is never too late, right? It is literally never too late. You just have to decide that you are way more important than any of the conditioning and any of the social structures that you're living in. So choose yourself over anything else, and transformation will happen.
Okay. Okay. That's quite a profound message.
It
Yeah.
is, my life is a living proof of that. I don't.
Thank you so much, Mukta, for talking to
Thank you
us.
so
And
much.
it was a pleasure talking to you.